Welcome to the recap of the second game of the World Championship match between Jan Nepomniachtchi and Dean Liren, and today Nepo won the game. And this is actually exactly what I predicted. Yeah? You remember? If you don't remember, then watch the video. You can find it easily. Just exactly what I mentioned. Ding is a bad starter, and maybe he will recover and he will show his best. This is also what I told you, but I just told you that he needs to hold on first 4-6 games to hold on. I don't know what problems he has, but it's definitely something wrong with his psychology, or I don't know, since it was similar in the candidates tournament in 2020, in 2022, so nothing changed. And if something happens once, then twice, and so on, then like most probably we'll see it for third time, for fourth time, and like losing a game with white, it's not something he needs to do in this match. Let's take a look at the game. It was d4 and Ding was playing white. So Nepo reacted with knight f6, e6, solid. No more Grunfeld. You remember he was like Grunfeld ambassador, I mean Nepo. But for example, for the match against Carlsen, he switched to Nimza. Solid opening. Knight f3, d5, and here h3. I guess it's not a novelty, but something weird. And I wouldn't be surprised that after this match, White gonna try this move. Maybe even I myself gonna try this move. Why not? So dc4. Of course, normal moves here is something like knight to c3 or g3. Yeah, probably that's it. But h3, so just kind of giving a move to black to h3 is like maybe it's more or less useful move in the future. So dc4, e3, and now we got some kind of accepted queen's gambit. c5, bishop c4, a6, castles, knight c6, knight c3, b5. And here there is one interesting and important detail. But before talking about that detail, let's go a bit forward. So b5, bishop d3, bishop b7, a4, b4, knight e4, knight a5, knight f6, and g takes f6. Now, keep in mind this position, and let's get back to the initial position. And I'm going to show you one line from the Queen's Gambit accepted. So rook e1. I started to play Queen's Gambit accepted something like a year ago, maybe a bit less. And I even had a game in September 2022. White played rook e1. And so I went for knight c6, knight c3, b5, bishop d3, bishop b7, a4, b4, knight e4, knight a5, knight f6. So you remember? Pawn on h3, rook on f1. Yes? But here we have rook on e1 and pawn on h2. And that's a huge difference. And I don't know, but maybe this is something that something what Ding mixed up. So here after knight f6, g takes f6 would be a mistake, a serious mistake. And for example, when I was preparing for super final in September or October, I played some training games, and I played this GF6 in one of training games, since I didn't, like I was in process of learning and memorizing variations, so I didn't remember for sure which one to go for. So g takes f6 seems to be more or less interesting. Later rook g8. This is what we'll see in Nepo's game. Yeah, queen c7, maybe castling long. But unfortunately, e4 is a cold shower, and black is just worse. The point that the difference with the game that after c4, bishop f1. So bishop is well placed, protecting the pawn on g2, and white could go for d5. So whatever black plays, for example, queen c7, white just goes forward with d5, later it could be knight d4, also developing this bishop somewhere, rook to c1, and it's unpleasant position for black. So the right move here is queen takes f6, just for you to have an idea what is the difference and what we had in the game. Today I visited the match, and like you can buy a ticket for 45-minute session either at 3 o'clock, at 4 o'clock, at 5 o'clock, at 6 o'clock, and so on. I arrived exactly in this moment, and it was so boring since it was nobody at the board. I was waiting, okay, like everybody in that viewer's room, we were waiting, yeah, and didn't appear, yeah, it like was 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and still was nobody. So I couldn't understand what's going on. And probably it's just really something wrong with Ding is in this match. He's not prepared mentally. So knight a5 and knight c5 is a possible move here, then bishop c5, dc5, knight d7, and it's more or less similar with that situation with rook on e1, and white is slightly better, nothing serious. Later knight c5 is coming, so black has more or less active pieces and so on. And knight f6, that's interesting since knight f6 here is a mistake. Comparing to that situation with rook on e1 and pawn on h2, it's completely different situation, yeah? So gf6, and I was surprised that Nepo played gf6, since I remember that with rook on e1, it's just a mistake. But later I realized what is the point. The point that after gf6, e4, c4, and there is no bishop f1 move. White should play bishop c2, and here black has an easy play, queen c7, yeah, bishop d2, rook g8, he could castle long immediately. It was no issue of starting with castling long. So rook g8 also good, rook c1 castling long. And so you see these pawns in the center cannot really go forward, disturbing the white king. And this is something, this is the key difference with bishop being placed on c2 and on f1, protecting the pawn on g2. Also the rook on e1 would be well placed on the e file. And h3 here is just a necessary move. So in fact, what happened today, I don't know what why Ding spent something like 20 minutes in the rest area when it was his move, but that was the critical moment of the game, since once he took the knight on f6, the game is over. Yeah, it sounds weird. Evaluation is something like minus 0.5 for black, but in fact after gf6 it's a pleasant position for black. For white it's not clear what to do. So okay, e4, yes, this rook g8. And another thing to mention, that this position is like really in style of Nepo. Yeah, he likes to go for attacking chess. That's why, by the way, on video preview I gave him fire and I gave eyes to Ding. So castling long, bishop d3, king b8. It's even not much to discuss here. Yes, like nothing to discuss at all. Black has a play on the king side, attacking the white king. That's the target. Even though black has here 2 pawns, yes, versus 1 pawn, but the target is the king on g1. So that's why f5, opening up the diagonal. Bishop c2, knight c6, attacking the pawn on d4, bishop g5. Since what else to do? Yeah, knight d4 is coming. The black king is safe on b8. Rook g5. Like for Nepo, I think it's just like, it's just natural. It's starting from this moment, let's say from, I would say from gf6. For him, it was just a play by a hand. Yeah, just easy. So exchange sacrifice, but in fact, yeah, we can call this as sacrifice, but in fact, it's just like so natural. Yeah, f6. Yeah, maybe for like for other players it's not that obvious. For example, for me it's not that obvious that black is already winning, but for Nepo I think he has a really good feel of dynamic. So for him it's so natural here, this position. Bishop e4, yes. Bishop d6, and now it's even like c3 is coming. King h1, c3, bc3, c2, threatening c1, queen e5, and the rook on d4 is trapped. Since rook d2, then c1, queen. If rook e4, then just also taken on e4, and bishop a3, promoting the pawn. So you see, I don't really comment much on this stage. Like maybe other guys who make recap of this game, they like, oh, such an incredible exchange sacrifice, or this is an important move. By the way, king b8 is a nice prophylaxis, yes, quite natural, just removing the king from the c file. But in fact, what I see in this game, what is the most important thing is this moment, the key moment of the game. After knight a5, knight f6, surprisingly, it's not that obvious, not obvious at all, that knight f6 is a decisive mistake. Yeah, it even sounds weird, but it's a decisive mistake for this game. Then it was already like easy play for black. So knight f6, gf6, and that's it. That's it. You can just check my video with a prediction for the match. Exactly what I say there. Ding had to calm down in the first 4-6 games, holding, like not losing a single game, and then he could strike. He could strike at some point. Now he needs to. And now it's an interesting thing. I would recommend him to still to hold. He needs to hold for like, let's say 4 or 5 games, maybe even 6 games. So it's not the moment for him to run to grab a point, since in this case Nepo would win one or a few more games. And on the other hand, for Nepo, this is exactly a moment, the moment to strike more, to win, like to just to finish him, since it's clear that Ding is not in the right state of mind, and this is exactly the moment just to destroy him. Luckily for Ding, tomorrow is a rest day, but then round 3, game 3, Nepo are gonna play with white, and Nepo need to push. First part of the match, Nepo needs to push. First game, second game, and also Ding's behavior. I'm not sure that Ding will survive in next few rounds. I think like that's a good chance for Nepo to increase the score.